On this lesson, 7.4, we're going to talk about some terminology we use when things happen when we're solving equations. This is all about the terminology. When we solve equations like this, and what we're looking for is one point where they cross at. These intersect. There's only one point that's common to both of these. One unique solution. That is a consistent. Now, once in a while we have equations like this. Now notice that if I took 3 times this, it'd be 3x. If I took 3 times this, it'd be 3y. If I take 3 times 3, this is 9. These two equations are the exact same equation. If we put this into y equals mx plus b form, these two would have the exact line that we would be graphing. So this one has infinite solutions. Infinite solutions means that the two lines are exactly on top of each other. These are both consistent. They have a solution if they're consistent. Now we're going to talk about the other kinds of things that happen when we solve equations. In this case, if we put these into y equals mx plus b form, they would have the exact same slope. That means we have parallel lines. Parallel lines are never, ever going to cross. There will never be a solution to these two. So there's no solution. If there is no solution, then it is inconsistent. Now we're going to talk about this, and we're going to put these definitions on your notes. So, equations are independent if the equations have exactly one solution. Now that exactly one solution means you have an x and a y. And this is what happens when you have one solution. You have one point where these two lines will cross. Dependent equations have infinite number of solutions. Look at this line. This line, all of those lines are the same for both the equations. Infinite. Now, if they're independent or dependent, then they are called consistent. They consistently have an answer. Equations have one or infinite solutions. Now, if they have absolutely no solution, then they are called inconsistent. They will never have an answer. Now, on the first problem, we're going to just solve it. Let's say we have a 2x and an x. We have a 2y and a minus y. Because this is a plus and this is a minus, I can multiply this by 2. And these two will eliminate. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to take 2 times 2x, and I get 4x. 2 times negative y is minus 2y. Equals 1 times 2, which is 2. When we add these, 4x plus x is 5x. These two eliminate each other. 2 plus 3 is 5. To solve for x now, we're going to need to divide by 5. We get x equals 1. We are going to take that 1 for x and put it back up here in our equation. So that means we're going to have one solution here. So we put the 1 in for the x, and to solve for the y, we need to minus the 1. We get 2y equals 2. To solve for y, we need to divide by 2. We get y equals 1. So our point is 1, 1. This has one solution. That makes it independent, and it makes it consistent. Now, when I'm checking this, I'm going to check for this answer, this answer, this answer, and this answer. You have to have all of the answers that apply. On the next equation, we have x plus y. Now, we could do this by substitution, but I chose to do it by elimination. Multiplying everything in here by negative 3. So I get a negative 3x minus 3y equals negative 9. Now 3 minus 3 is 0. 3 minus 3 is 0. 9 minus 9 is 0. We get 0 equals 0. All of our x's and y's disappeared. It's not going to, okay? And so, but when they all disappear, this is also a true statement. If this is true, then that means that we have all real numbers or infinite solutions as our answer. It means every x has a y that matches it and will be true for these two equations. Now we have infinite solutions. By the way, this is the infinity sign. It looks like an 8 that's laid down on its side. So since it has infinite solutions, this is consistent and it's dependent. If you have a consistent equation, you have to have it as dependent or independent. On the next one, you need to make a minor little adjustment here on your notes because these should be x's here. Because we have a negative 2x and a negative 2x, these two would be really good candidates for elimination. We can just multiply everything in here by negative 1. And we get negative 2x minus y equals positive 4. Negative 2x plus 2x is 0. Y minus y is 0. 3 plus 4 is 7. Now all of our x's and y's has disappeared. And we have a false statement. Since 0 does not equal 7, it's false. That means there will be no solution. And if there is no solution, then it will be inconsistent. This will have 3 different answers. It will be the 0 equals 7, the no solution, and the inconsistent. Again, this false is just your reference. If it doesn't turn out to be true, then there is no solution. If it does turn out to be true, then we have all real numbers or infinite solutions. Now we're going to go down to number 4, and I'm going to work this in 2 different ways. Notice that this is in y equals 4 minus x. This is in y equals 3x minus 6. This is in slope-intercept form. We have to have them in the same order if we are going to eliminate them. So I'm going to rewrite this as y equals, I'm going to put the negative x first, plus 4. Now with that, if I can eliminate my y's here. Now you've probably never done this before, but we have a positive y and a positive y. So I'm going to eliminate my y. So I'm going to take a negative 1 times everything in here. I get a negative y. A negative 1 times negative x is a positive x. A negative 1 times a positive 4 is a negative 4. Y minus y is 0. Now you have to put that 0 down there. Equals 3x plus x is 4x. Negative 6 minus 4 is negative 10. Now we're going to solve this. We cover up our x term. We have to get rid of the minus 10. So we're going to add 10 to both sides. 0 plus 10 is 10. This is equal to 4x. Divide by 4. And we get the same answer. Okay, we get 5/2 for an answer. Or 2 1/2. Be sure you put this into your calculator with your ABC key and simplify it. Now we're going to take this back up here. And we're going to put it in y equals 4 minus our x, which is 5/2. Notice I went back to the original equation, the one that was written down for me. And when I take 4 minus 5/2 in your calculator, you get y equals 1 1/2. Now we have an answer. We have an answer for x. We have an answer for y. That's one answer. So that is independent and it is consistent. I'm going to work this a little differently. You may have never thought about doing this way, by substitution. I wrote down my first equation, which is y equals 4 minus x. Now my other the other equation says that y is equal to 3x minus 6. You do not have to do it this way, but bear with me here. Okay? Now we have to get all the x's on one side. So I chose to add my x to both sides. That gives me 4x minus 6 equals 4. To solve for x, now I need to get rid of the minus 6. So I add 6 to both sides. I now have 4x equals 10. I divide by 4, and notice I get the exact same answer as what I got over here just a little bit ago. And then you would need to go back and substitute in. That's just a different little way of doing it, and I thought you might not have thought about. And if you happen to come up with something like that, that you will know what to do with it. On the next one, again, I'm going to use elimination because this is x minus y equals 2, and this is 2x minus 2y equals 4. They're in the exact same position here, and they're in standard form. So to get rid of this x, I'm going to have to make this a negative 2x because this is positive. So I'm multiplying everything in here by negative 2. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative y is a plus 2y. Negative 2 times 2 is a negative 4. 2 minus 2 is 0. Negative 2 plus 2 is 0. 4 minus 4 is 0. We have 0 equals 0, which happens to be a true statement. And because it's a true statement, our answer is all real numbers, or there are infinite solutions. Now, since it's all real numbers and infinite solutions, we have a dependent consistent on our hands here. Dependent and consistent. On number 6, again, I chose to do, I took 2x minus y equals negative 2. I noticed that I'm going to eliminate the y's by multiplying this again by negative 2. I'm sorry, all of my examples seems to have negative 2 in it. All of your problems won't, I'm sorry. Okay, so we're going to take negative 2 times 2x. We get negative 4x. Negative 2 times negative y gives us positive 2y. Negative 1 times negative 2 gives me a positive 2. 4x minus 4x is 0. Negative 2y plus 2y is 0. 4 plus 2 is 6. 0 does not equal 6. That's a false statement. So when we have a false statement, we do not have a solution, so we have no solutions. And if we have no solutions, it is inconsistent. It is not consistent. Consistent means it has an answer. The last problem, I wish we were in school. I really do. I love this part of the chapter. I'm going to skip it because it is so difficult to do even in class. But I do wish to do one example for you. Remember when we were doing our terminology and what it means? We really need to pay attention to it here. The sum. Sum means we're going to add. The sum of two angles means we're going to add two angles. The word is always means equals. So I let my angles be A and B. Now what does this tell me? I'm going to add my two angles and I'm going to get 180 degrees. So the equation I get for this is my first angle plus my second angle equals